personally, I'm a pretty avid fan of Victorian style movies. I also love the whole steampunk vibe, the aesthetic, if you will. Bloodborne and Lies of P are two great examples of things that I love, the creepy Victorian steampunk vibe. And I also love stop motion movies. I'm sure all of you probably realized by now if you've watched my channel, you know I'm a big Henry Selick fan, big Tim Burton fan. The creepy, unsettling art style is something that I am really drawn to. But the fact that I've never heard or watched the movie Jack and the Cuckoo Clock Heart is pretty surprising after witnessing this movie, as it kind of does the checklist of everything that I'm into. But it's got that steampunk aesthetic, the Victorian setting, the mystical, creepy vibe that I can't get enough of, so I finally decided that I'm going to watch this movie, and after watching it, it's weird. I feel like that's the best way to describe this movie. It's weird in a good way, and I'll explain. I feel like there's a lot of parts in this movie that are weird in a way that's like really good. Like it gives off that vibe that, you know, people like me really enjoy, but it also sometimes is weird in a way that is just like, why? You know, you see a part in this movie, you're like, okay, that was weird. Don't really know why that was in there. It was adopted by a novel named La Mendigue des
What the Sigma?
But this movie at moments has some of the most moving and heartfelt parts that will leave you feeling tearful, almost crying, and then other parts where you're just absolutely confused and a little bit scared, maybe horny. But I do consider this movie to be an art piece over anything else. It's not your average movie. It's not a cut and dry storyline. The dialogue is very poetic at times, like, you know, it pulls at your heartstrings at moments. You're honestly amazed by how good the writing is. And then all of a sudden, the dialogue also just gets weird. Like, honestly, throughout the movie, I can't tell if what I'm watching is just a botched attempt at being artistic, but then there's moments where I'm like, holy shit, that's kind of fire. But the entire movie is symbolic in the nature of love itself. It's mainly a romance movie and how much someone would sacrifice in order to get that love. And I don't know what's going on with the French, but I've said this before and I'll say it again. They got it figured out when it comes to movies. I don't know why. But the animation in this movie, I feel like, is a really big kicker in the whole. This movie is a little bit weird. I mean, holy shit, the amount of uncanny valley in this movie. I'm sure that's exactly what they were going for, but it is, you can't tell if it is just bad or if that's what they were going for. You know what I mean? But personally, I kind of dig it. There's moments where I'm like, but I feel like most of the time I kind of dig it. And honestly, once you watch it, you kind of forget about the weird animation after a while and then just start loving it. And yeah, the movie was originally made in French, so the lips sometimes don't match the words occasionally here and there, which is like, whatever. The movie begins with a bird flying around, running away from ice that's coming after him. It's basically the day after tomorrow situation, where they're like, it's so freaking cold that stuff just getting frozen every which way. And then we see a pregnant lady walking up a hill up to a series of an unfortunate events type building. If you guys know, you know. But we find out today is the coldest day on Earth. Who could have guessed, with the bird freezing in the middle of the sky? But she makes it to the midwife and she has the baby. But unfortunately, the baby's heart was frozen solid because, you know, it being cold and all. The midwife, or at least that's what we know her as, her name is Madeleine, replaced his heart with a cuckoo clock in order for him to survive. But unfortunately, that came with a little bit of a problem. 3 rules came with this Cuckoo Clock Heart.
Firstly, never touch the hands of your heart. Rule number 2, keep your temper under control. Whatever else you do, never fall in love.
So I didn't even mention by now, this is a musical, right? And a lot of people are a little bit iffy here and there when it comes to musicals, but the music in this is weirdly good. And it's not good in the way of, oh, it's just good music. It's very stylized. It's very specific to this movie.
Everywhere I go, there's a door called Joe.
There's a lot of like beats when it comes to this movie. It's not like just pretty music, very orchestral music. There's a lot of cool, interesting beats that go into it. The whole cuckoo clock concept is kind of intertwined within the music. You hear like the ticking of a clock here and there throughout the movie. The music is fantastic. Like you see a lot of movies, like for example, the movie I reviewed, The Book of Life, it was technically a musical. They just threw in crappy covers of pop songs, right? Which I feel like utterly ruined that movie. But the entire movie is intertwined within the music. There's so many scenes that go along with the music, like just them walking or the heartbeat of Jack. So many cool things happen with the music in this movie. I can't express enough how cool the music is. Even if you don't like the movie, like if you just watched it and enjoyed the music, that would be enough. So with this Cuckoo Clock Heart, there were 3 rules put in place. You must never touch the hands of your heart. You must never lose your cool or get angry. Or in the last but not least one, you must never fall in love. So pretty obvious where we're going in this movie here. So after she just revived the child, she's like, hey, yo, kind of wish you were my baby. Kind of weird that she said it directly in front of the mom that just gave birth.
No, my little ice cub, I'm not your mom, even though I wish I were.
But anyway, Mama leaves.
I know for sure she'll make a much better mother than I ever will.
The mom that just gave birth, she just walks outside and dies. Want to clarify, I don't know if she dies, but I think later on in the movie, we see her gravestone, which is like where I assume she died because it's the coldest day on earth, so she probably froze to death. We're just going to assume she's dead. So now we skip on into the future, and Jack is kind of within a family of Madeline being his mother. And you can kind of see everyone in his family is makeshift put together, kind of like his Cuckoo Clock Heart. We have an old man with a xylophone on his back. We have a girl with like a wooden mechanical leg, but they all have some sort of thing that was fixed by Madeline. Apparently, this is the first time that Jack has ever been like out and about in the world because she's been protecting him because of those 3 rules. Because, you know, he's young. It makes sense that he's probably going to go out and start breaking these rules because it's pretty easy to do that. Not getting angry, that's hard. Not falling in love, I mean, that's not really that hard to do. But the problem is, you know, it's a movie and he's probably going to just walk outside and fall in love with the first girl. Oh, that's what happens. He walks outside and falls in love with the first girl he sees. So Jack ends up running away from Madeline because, you know, he's his own kid, right? Like he's going to do his own thing. And he finds a girl who is twirling this musical cart thingy and singing some music. And then he just starts singing to her and singing with her.
Don't play games with your sight if it leaves you in the dark.
And I'll admit the visuals in this scene are pretty cool because like everyone around them kind of freezes and then turn into like puppets in a way. Their movements are very like jerky, herky-jerky, like they're puppets. I think it's pretty cool. A lot of the visuals in the scene are pretty cool.
To me, rip your clothes with my teeth and tear them into confetti.
Did he just say he's gonna rip off her clothes with his teeth and turn them into confetti? Yippee! How old is this kid? This is his first time outside. Like, bro, I get it. You're horny, right? You've never seen a girl in your life, supposedly. So I guess walking outside and seeing an attractive girl, he's just like, boom, I want to rip off your clothes with my teeth. Not really a normal thing to say the first time you see a girl. And while they're singing, Jack's Cuckoo Clock Heart starts smoking, right? It's all smoldery. He does the smolder. So Jack was going in for a kiss, got so horny that he passed out, you know, almost died from how hard he was. And obviously Madeline shows up and gets pissed off with the girl. He's like, how dare you? How dare you make him get horny for you? What is this?
What have you done to him?
I do find it quite hilarious, though. Like, I get it. You know, it's only an hour and 30-minute movie, but just the setup of him just like walking out into the city, seeing a girl singing, boom, they're in love. I love you. You know, let's tear each other's clothes off with our teeth. You know, why not? You get this scene where she turns into a fairy, the girl that he met at the thing. And she like goes inside of his heart and starts like poking all of the contraptions and the spinny things and the cogs and stuff like that. Like, I feel like this part is obviously symbolic. You know, she's entering his heart sanctum, right? Because like he fell in love with her and now she's messing with his gears type dealio. She's grinding his gears. Please subscribe. So Madeline then confesses that the reason she was so obsessed with having him as a child is because she is not able to have a child.
You're the child I was never able to have.
So Jack notices that his sister has a uniform that matched the uniform of the girl that he saw in the town. And then she said that it's her school uniform, so he realized he wants to go to school. So he ends up convincing his mother to let him go to school in order for him to get a better grasp on his Cuckoo Clock Heart rules. And he goes to school, and this is where he meets the Edgar Allan Poe looking ass dude, the creepy tall guy who's like, hey yo, I own the school, who are you, kid? Basically the class bully, I guess. And you want to know the name of this mysterious, cool, sexy, tall dude? Joe. Jack goes to school, and obviously he's kind of shunned by everyone. Like, hey, yo, who's this weirdo kid, right? Like, who's this kid? We don't know this guy. We're going to bully the shit out of him. And Joe's over, in the shadows in the corner kind of rapping. He's kind of doing some slam poetry type stuff.
I'll splatter all over your skull.
Because he has songs, sort of, but they're all just him talking in rhymes. Not gonna lie, I kind of dig it. At first I was like, oh, this is kind of annoying, but it kind of works. I feel like for that character, for who he is and how he's like, he thinks he's so cool and badass and like mysterious and interesting.
This is my empire, my realm, it's territory I'm ill-inclined to share.
But what we can gather from his rap, if you will, is he thinks he's hot shit. He's like, this is my realm. I am king of the school. And who is this random person walking into my domain? But unfortunately, Joe also has a thing for the girl that was in town because he went to the school searching for her.
And what do you want with this little singer of yours? Her name is Miss Acacia.
But Joe's got a thing for Miss Acacia.
And nobody's allowed to mention her or so much as speak her name, except me. You got that?
And because he found out that Jack is looking for, Joe proceeded to basically bully him throughout school. Anytime he was at school, he got him and his friends to bully the shit out of him, to go inside of his Cuckoo Clock Heart and fiddle with his stuff, which the scene is just weird. Like, honestly, the scene of like all the dudes just like going in and poking at his heart and he's just like twitching and shit. It's creepy and weird. But he kind of hides all of this bullying from his mom because he's so obsessed with finding Miss Acacia. Anyway, it looks like Joe and Jack share a birthday. And this movie has the absolutely coolest rendition of Happy Birthday I have ever heard in my life. Happy birthday to you. But Joe, walking inside, he drops a little letter that was written to him by Miss Acacia. And that letter is written from the location that she is at. So Jack grabs it and wants to keep it, obviously. And he's like, hey, yo, it's my birthday. I want to keep this. So Joe starts choking the shit out of him. And remember one of the rules of Jack's heart? Can't get angry. Guess what happens? As Joe starts messing with Jack's Cuckoo Clock Heart, I don't know if he's trying to kill him or what, he gets stabbed in the eye with the cuckoo. The cuckoo went boom, boom, right in his eyeball. So Jack runs to his house and tells his mom.
You've seen that little singer again.
I killed Joe.
What?
You killed Joe? What are you? Whoa. We are jumping to conclusions here. I thought you just stabbed him in the eye. He just ran straight home like, hey, mom, killed Joe. And then they're all just instant like, we got to smuggle this kid out of here. The cops are coming.
Arthur, Anna, Luna, we have to smuggle Jack out of here.
This is the stuff I'm talking about. There's weird moments that are good weird, and then there's weird moments that are just confusing. So he gives his mom and everyone a hug goodbye, and then he gets smuggled out of the house by this giant thing that goes off the cliff. And now we see him on a train, and dude, I can't get over like the weird contraptions and stuff in this movie. Like, this train is a goddamn accordion. Like it doesn't make any logical sense, but it just looks cool, and I love that. Oh yeah, and then Jack the Ripper shows up. Remember Jack the Ripper? The dude who like killed a bunch of people? Yeah. He just is here, just on a train, and then just starts singing a song. Why not? I didn't know Jack the Ripper was a singer.
Jack the Ripper.
I genuinely don't get this part. I still don't after watching this movie. I remember the first time I heard about this movie, I just remember like Jack the Ripper showing up. I remember like seeing a clip of Jack the Ripper singing to him. And it still doesn't make sense after watching the movie. Like, why is he here? What is he going after him for? He's literally singing a song about how he loves killing these cute young women. That's like his whole shtick. And he's like, now I'm going to kill you. It's like, but Why are you targeting the boy? Like, it doesn't make any sense. But anyway, Jack the Ripper gets stopped by this dude who walks in who's an inventor. And then Jack the Ripper runs away and never shows up again. He's just there and then he's not. He's there, he sings a little ditty to Jack and then poof. Why were you there? I don't get it. I'm confused. I will admit though, the scene of him running from Jack the Ripper with like the accordion looking train stuff, that shit was cool. Kind of reminded me of like the Coraline door, like when the Coraline tunnel thing was like closing and open, like, you know what I mean? So Jack the Ripper was stopped by a Frenchman named George, who is apparently an inventor. And he notices Jack's Cuckoo Clock Heart. It's very interesting. He's like, hey boy, you want to come back to my place? I could fiddle with your heartstrings a little bit. Your heart cogs, if you will. So Jack goes back and he starts fiddling with this stuff and kind of helps out his messed up shit going on in his heart. So then Jack explains his situation. He's like, hey, yo, I'm looking for this girl, but at the same time, if I fall in love, I'm going to die. And then honestly, George has got a good point. He actually spitting hard facts a little bit here.
The moment I saw her, I felt her rumbling like an earthquake devastating my body.
And then Papa George says a line that is pretty fire. If you spend your life avoiding getting hurt, you'll probably die of boredom first, which is a line that I really enjoy.
If you spend your life avoiding getting hurt, you'll probably die of boredom first.
He's basically saying live your life while you got it instead of constantly worrying or fearing of death, which he's telling to Jack because Jack's saying, hey, yo, I might die if I fall in love with this girl. And he's like, no, bro, go for it. You know, go for the love. You know, go find her. And that's what he's going to do. He's going to help him find her. So then we get a song of George singing to Jack, talking about how he needs to go find her. And it's kind of a journey visualization of them going to where Miss Acacia is. And the entire song is so visually interesting. There's not really a good way to describe it instead of just watching it. Like, again, some of the visuals in the movie are just crazy, weird, unsettling, strange, and interesting. And I love it. So then we land in a circus, which is where that little, card was from. And again, just more and more weird, unsettling shit is in this circus. So anyway, he finds Miss Acacia and she is singing. And she is singing in Spanish. And these Spanish songs are freaking good. Like, I'm not gonna lie, every music piece and song in this movie is so underrated and good. And again, some absolutely crazy visualization. We get to see like the soul come out of Jack and like dance with her, and you can kind of, it's more of like implying like what he wants to do, like how he wants to do it and blah, blah, blah. But it's done in such a cool way. Again, highly recommend you watch this movie because the visuals are so cool. And then we find out Papa George is a little bit of a weirdo. He's a little bit of a pervert. He just starts talking to Jack about seducing her, about seducing Acacia. And he's like, the best way to seduce a woman is act like you're not seducing a woman. Tells him to sneak inside of her little trailer while she's not there and surprise her.
Nobody will notice. The coast is clear. Sneak in there. Move.
And again, here's one of the weird bad parts. This is just strange and creepy.
What are you doing? Who are you?
So George, throughout the rest of the movie, is just kind of getting frisky with a two-headed girl. It's weird. You get a lot of weird, creepy vibes from this, but, you know, we're just going to move on from that. So anyway, Jack asks her out on sort of a date.
She said perhaps.
But he is like posing as a frightening dude. I guess that's like the job that was available and he's trying to get. So he has to act like he's a scary guy, which he fails at miserably.
Hello.
But anyway, we go through the Ghost Train, another really cool song, another really cool, visually stunning song. Like, one part I didn't really like in the Ghost Train is when he like got on stage with like a bunch of skeletons and like started grabbing a bone as a microphone and singing. That just didn't really fit Jack's character much at all and felt kind of out of place. But other than that, the rest of it was great. So then as he leans in for a kiss, she finally admits like, hey, yo, sorry, I'm in love with that kid I met like a long time ago. You know, him, Jack. She's in love with Jack, but like the Jack that she met a long time ago that she sang a song with and stuff like that. So like the rest of the movie's a little bit confusing on the concept of like, just tell her, you know? That's kind of what I felt throughout the rest of the movie. Like, bro, like you're already in. Just tell her that you're him.
Moving.
Dude, George, you're a freak. That's all I gotta say. You're a freak, man. So I don't really get it because like the rest of the movie is like Jack dealing with that concept of like, oh, she loves the past me. She doesn't love me now. She loves who I was. And he's like struggling with just admitting that was him. You know, I really didn't like all of this. It just felt like the conflict was kind of silly and goofy. So Jack finally admits to her that, you know, he was the kid back then. Obviously, she falls for him. And then we get a very weird scene, which I assume is implying sex, as she gets the key to his heart and starts like messing with his heart. I don't like what I'm watching. So everything's going perfect. Him and her bang, sort of symbolically. And then all of a sudden, lo and behold, Joe Mama shows up because Joe actually didn't die. He just lost his eyeball. And Joe is just an asshole. He just royally fucks up everything. So then Joe ends up telling her the rules of his heart and how he cannot fall in love, and also how he's the one who stabbed him in the eye, which leads her to stay away from Jack. She doesn't want to fall in love with him because she doesn't want Jack to die. There's even a moment where Jack's heart starts messing up and she starts freaking out, being like, I'm scared of you, bro. You're freaking me out.
Stop that!
So then Joe has a little standoff with Jack and he starts spitting at him, being like, hey, bro, I got the girl. What are you going to do about it, huh? I'm taller than you. What are you going to do? And because he kind of steps up on Jack and then Jack starts shoving him, she ends up being like, Jack, I thought you were better than that. I thought you weren't aggressive like that. And so she ends up leaving with Joe in order to stay away from Jack, which I feel like this whole situation, I know it's like a book made into a movie, but it just like happened so fast and it felt like it didn't really make any sense for her to just like instantly turn on a dime and just leave with Joe. But that's what happens. But unfortunately, he gave the key to his heart to Acacia, which is a problem because he needs to wind his heart in order for him to stay alive. So George actually ends up sending Jack back to Madeline in order for him to get fixed up because he's worried he's going to die. But Acacia realizes she has the key and comes back and realizes that he's gone. So she ends up trying to chase him in order to catch him before he dies. But shit ends up getting even worse as Madeline is dead.
Where's Madeline?
Yes, Madeline, his mother, was arrested for the whole smuggling a criminal out, and she died in prison. I guess she died from a broken heart because, you know, Jack is gone. And then he goes out to the gravestone of not only Madeline, his mother who raised him, but his mother who actually birthed him as well. And you could tell he's planning on just sitting there and dying with them. But lo and behold, Acacia arrives in order to give him the key. And this is where shit gets really heavy. I was not prepared for this part. It made me tear up a little bit, not gonna lie. So as he lays on the gravestone, he takes the key from her and throws it because he doesn't want to live anymore. And with his last breath, Acacia gives him a kiss. And he dies because he does fall in love with her and he realizes there's nothing he could do. Like he would rather love her than stay alive not loving her. And the ending scene is so beautiful as like everything freezes, time freezes as he climbs each snowflake up to the sky, implying that he's dead. And that's how the movie ends. God damn it, dude. This movie is so good at moments, but there's also a lot of weird parts that I didn't like. But the conclusion and the visuals and the music, this movie deserves a lot more attention. Like it is something I feel like everyone should watch. It's not your average movie. There's a lot of poetry in it. There's a lot of artistic stuff in it. It's definitely an acquired taste for people who aren't used to this type of stuff. But God damn it, it's good. Give it a watch and give me a subscription now. Do it. All right? You owe me. You owe me. Subscribe. You did it? We're good? Okay. All right.